So you're thinking about moving to Bend, and you've been a tourist, you've visited the area before, but you're not quite sure if living here permanently is going to be a good fit for you. Well, today's video is all about the 6 things you gotta know about Bend before making that big move to Bend to live here full time. So if this video sounds like it's for you, stick around. We're going to be getting after it right now.
If this is your first time on the channel and you'd like to know everything there is to know about living, eating, sleeping, playing, the good and the bad of Bend, Oregon and the surrounding area, subscribe to the channel, tap the bell for notifications so you can be the first to know about what's going on here in Bend. My name is Zach Nutter. This is Ryan Rudloff, both licensed brokers with eXp Realty in the state of Oregon, and we've lived here for over 30 years and we absolutely love it. So whether you're looking to move in 9 days or 90 days, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. We'd love to connect with you, help you make a smooth move here to Bend.
So with that being said, we're going to hop right into the video right now. We're going to be starting off with reason number 1 that you have to consider before making the move to Bend. Okay, so the first thing that you've got to know before moving to Bend is a general understanding of our 4 seasons. We are up here in a high desert climate, and yes, we get plenty of sunshine like we always touch on during most of our videos, but we do have 4 distinct seasons. Now, obviously, each season is 3 months long on a calendar, but here in Bend, it can be a little bit different, right? Winters can kind of drag on, and it can seem like they last for maybe up to 5 months, maybe 6 months sometimes, but then again, once it crosses over into the summer style weather, then it feels like it drags on for a long time, and we love that. Summers can go all the way into late September. You can get summer-like weather into October and even into early November, but the sun typically is shining year-round. But it's very important that anybody that's considering moving to Bend understands the actual seasonality that we have, because it doesn't necessarily follow the 3 months that each calendar season has on paper.
Ryan is correct about that. Sometimes it feels like we have 2 seasons, winter and summer. But our fall and spring are 2 of the best times of year to be here. Typically, they are a little shorter seasons, maybe a month and a half of where you feel like you're really in fall, really in spring. But our summers, this is the most amazing place to be in the world in the summertime. You'll find a lot of people that have retired here, and then they'll snowbird other places where it's a little warmer if they're not into the skiing and the snow lifestyle. But our winters typically start, what do you say, November? Starts feeling like.
First snow is probably mid to late November, yeah.
And then January, February typically are snowiest months. And then March, we start to get some days. Yesterday, it was in the 50s. The day before that, it was in the high 50s here in late February. So we do get a ton of great weather kind of interweaved into our winter days, but our winter can seem to drag here. Spring sports are firing up right now, and we still have snow on the ground. So you got sports like baseball, golf, lacrosse, all these things where they're having to prep and do a lot of their first couple weeks of training indoors. Golf teams in the simulator this week, I know that. A lot of the other teams are in the gyms still working. I mean, you saw basketball going, and so kind of a mess here at the end of February. But when we start getting those consistently warm 60, 70 degree days, there's not too many places in the world that are better to be than here in Bend.
And those days are coming. They're right around the corner. And the springtime, like Zach said, it can be kind of short-lived. It feels like we'll get pockets of winter-like weather if you're out there playing baseball or watching somebody else play baseball or tennis or whatnot, and you're just sitting there stationary watching the other person participate. It can feel really cold, especially with the sunshine high in the sky. We'll have daylight savings here in a couple of weeks, and the sun will start setting at 7:30, 8 o'clock. And just like the general vibe changes, yet the weather doesn't necessarily change. So that's something to definitely consider. Usually takes a little bit of an adjustment before the actual warm weather comes and shows up and sticks around for the long haul in the summertime.
My wife, Gabriel, and I went to run the river trail this weekend. It was 57, 58 degrees, bluebird day. We had huge ambitions of running the 3.5 mile loop.
And when we got about halfway through, we were on the west side of the trail, and it was great. Couple small patches of ice. We got on the east side of the trail, and it was super iced. We're almost at a crawl. So even though we do get these beautiful days in the middle of winter, we still have a lot of the remnants of winter hanging around that kind of limits some of that activity.
Yep, so 4 seasons is definitely something to look into, research what that really means here in Bend in Central Oregon before you make that move. All right, the second thing you gotta know about before moving to Bend is understanding what tourism really means here as a resident. Now, a lot of you guys are tourists, right? You come visit Bend or Central Oregon in the summertime, wintertime, whenever the season is that you show up, and you love it. You love spending a week here, 2 weeks here, whatever it is. But it's a little different when you actually live here and understanding what it's like to be a resident while also navigating the tourist season that goes on. And typically speaking, the tourist season is almost year round, but obviously the peak is in the summertime, spring break, sometimes in the fall and winter breaks and things like that. And so the town of Bend, the surrounding area of Central Oregon, can absolutely inflate with people on any given weekend, especially during those high peak seasons. And so understanding what that does for a local resident is very important to know how to navigate Bend when there are a lot of tourists or out-of-towners inside the city limits, like say during the Pole Pedal Paddle weekend or any given weekend during the summer. Restaurants fill up quick, businesses fill up, there's traffic every which way you go. And so it feels like a huge city at times. And that has a lot to do with the 4 million people that visit through Central Oregon every year.
There's 2 major drivers that drive the tourism here in Bend. Number 1, in the winter, is Mount Bachelor, 6th largest ski resort in North America. It's an absolutely amazing hill. If you love skiing, snowboarding, it's fantastic up there. You can see the 3 Sisters from up there. It's just a wonderful, wonderful mountain. How many trails or how many runs are up there, Ryan?
There's over 100 runs. There's 15 express lifts. I think 4,000 skiable acres.
So it's, I mean, on a weekend day, you'll see thousands and thousands of people up there. So a lot of the locals, they like to go up in the mornings during the weekdays to avoid a lot of that additional tourism. And then the second major driver is all the water that we have here in the summertime. So the Deschutes River runs directly through the middle of Bend. It's kind of the divider between east and west. Technically, it's the highway, but a lot of people determine the west and the east side via the river. And so people float down the river all the time. There's a lot of fly fishing on the river. We have so many lakes, tens of lakes that are within 30 to 45 minutes from here for recreation, for boating, for fishing, a ton of camping. So that outdoor lifestyle is a major driver here. We were having lunch this weekend. We were sitting at Greg's Grill on the patio. My wife and I were talking. It feels almost like you're at the beach down in like Southern California, where you're sitting at a restaurant having some meals and you see all these people exercising along the trail all day long. It's a very outdoor inspired place. There's a lot of people that come here to, do anything you can imagine in the outdoors. So those are kind of the 2 main drivers. And there's a million other things. Our number 1 business here, or employment, I guess, is tourism.
Yeah, for sure.
The breweries and restaurants and all of those things that we have here are major employers.
Tourism is absolutely huge, and it's something that you gotta know about before you make that commitment to live in Bend full time. All right, now the third thing you gotta know about before making the permanent move to Bend or Central Oregon is the people, of course. Any community is comprised of the people. That's the makeup, the culture of anything that goes on in any area in the world, right? What are the people like? Well, in Bend and in Central Oregon, I think it's safe to say that we all collectively are here for a specific reason in general, right? We love the outdoors. We love what Bend has to offer. We love the sunshine. We love the proximity to larger metropolitan areas. And so if we can figure out a way to live in Bend, make a living in Bend, we're going to try and do that because we love what Central Oregon and Bend has to offer. And that's just, it makes Bend kind of a melting pot of like-minded people. And most of the time, most people are just fantastic. They love being here. So they always have that pep in their step. They're excited to be here. Most people are very friendly here in the area.
Well, and if you think about it, so when we were growing up here, when we were young, the town was like 24,000 people.
Yep.
Now we're over 100,000 people. If you weren't born here and had no other choice or didn't know any other lifestyle, there was 24,000 of those people. There were some people that moved in, but there's all these people that have chosen to move here, and it's grown so substantially. All those 75,000 people have a common interest and a common theme. You know, they love the outdoors. They love all this place has to offer. And so that's what you'll find in a lot of the people here. As you meet new people, almost everybody loves the outdoors, camping, hunting, fishing, water, the mountain, all of that stuff. You'll find a pretty good commonality in most people that you meet here in Central Oregon.
Yep, that's it. Bend and Central Oregon has something to offer from an outdoor perspective just about for everybody. And so like Zach and I, we like to golf, we like to hike, we like to do other things outdoors, but there's a collection of other activities that we don't even participate in that a ton of people love to do as well. So that also makes it kind of exciting to know that we live in an area that we've been at for a long time, and yet there's so much more that we can still discover and learn and enjoy that Bend and Central Oregon has to offer. So the people themselves, I mean, this is what makes Bend really what it is the culture, and it starts with the people. All right, number 4, something that you gotta know about Bend before making the move. The growth, the size of Bend. Now, Bend is 100,000 people today. When we were growing up, like we just touched on, it was about 25,000 to 30,000 people. And it grew at a very, very fast rate, but now it's growing at an even faster rate. So a lot of people will move here, especially in the last 5 to 10 years, with this idea that Bend is what it is. This is the size of Bend. It's not getting any bigger. Well, unfortunately, Bend is going to be growing probably faster and faster each and every year moving forward because of the exponential growth associated with bodies of population all coming together, and it just it explodes. And so Bend, 100,000 now, will probably have 150 in just a few short 10 years or so. And it's going to change the vibe, the culture, the traffic, all kinds of things. And so that's something that you got to consider before making a move here permanently, is that we are a relatively small town, but it's very noticeable when we grow and gain population, with the fact that our base layer of population is only 100,000 people. So going from 100 to 150 is a huge step up compared to, like, say, LA adding another 50,000 people or something like that. So that's something that you got to know and understand before you make the permanent move here, is that you got to expect Bend to continuously grow at a very alarming rate over the coming years.
So with the bat of growth, there's also some pretty amazing stuff. So things we didn't have here when we were kids. We didn't have an ice skating rink in Bend. We had to go to Sun River. We didn't have we didn't have so many great restaurant options. Our restaurant options are phenomenal. For a town of 100,000 people, I'd put our restaurants against almost anybody's.
Yep.
We've got indoor go-kart tracks. We've got 2 bowling alleys. We have so much stuff that we just didn't have before.
Got this amphitheater now.
We got this amphitheater where we're getting world-class musicians in here that we don't have to travel over to the valley to go listen to good music. We've got the Old Mill District that is amazing. You feel like you're in a big city. That it runs right along the river. You got the whole park and rec facility over by the river. We were cruising the river the other day, and they have a sauna set up so you can do your cold bath in the river. And then you can run and get into the sauna and go back and forth. In the summertime, they have all kinds of inflatables out there. It's not always all bad with the growth, right? There's a lot of good that comes with it too. And I can tell you, for me personally, the growth's been amazing. I love great restaurants. We've got like 34 breweries or something crazy in this town. Music is one of my biggest passions, live music. Getting to have that live music almost every night in the summer and fall is unbelievable. So it's not all bad with the growth.
No, not at all. And just to piggyback on the amphitheater analogy, it's like, where else can you have like a Kenny Chesney or a Chris Stapleton be at Lumen Field in Seattle on a Wednesday night, come down to Bend and play at our little amphitheater, 8,000 person amphitheater on a Thursday or Friday, and then zip down to LA at SoFi Stadium. So football stadium, Hayden Homes Amphitheater, and then another football stadium. I mean, there's probably not another venue in the country that I'm aware of. There probably is, but I mean, right here in Central Oregon, it's like we've got it, and we're attracting those types of artists right here in town. And that is a tribute to the fact that Bend is growing, the people associated with it, but Bend is certainly growing, and it's something that we have to be prepared for moving forward. All right, here we go. Number 5.
All right, here we go.
The fifth
Bud.
fifth thing that you gotta know about Bend before making the permanent decision to live here: safety, right? We get a lot of questions from out-of-town clients. What's the safety like? Okay, we read about it online, but what is it really like? Well, we've both been here for 30 years. We've seen it grow from 25,000 people to 100,000 people. We get 4 million people that visit through this area every single year. And I can say with pretty darn good confidence that this is a safe place to be. I've lived in basically 3 out of 4 quadrants in this town, and I know many people that live in the 4th quadrant, the northeast part of town, that I've never lived in, but it's a small enough town. It's safe. Every now and then there's an incident where it kind of like shakes the community, just like there would be anywhere else in the country, but ultimately speaking, it's a very safe place to go and live. Wherever we're at, whether it's early morning, late at night, I feel safe. And there's certainly little things here and there that pop up, but at the end of the day, Bend is a very safe place to be.
As Brian said, spending my whole life here, from growing up as a kid to being an adult now, I've never felt unsafe in my community. There's everywhere. Kind of a crazy world we live in now, but I don't feel unsafe. It's still a relatively small town, and it's not something that I worry about daily on a day-to-day basis here in Central Oregon.
All right, number 6, the final thing that you got to know about Bend before moving here permanently: cost of living, right? A lot of people are relocating from other areas of the country that have higher cost of living. Some people are relocating from places that have lower cost of living. Bend kind of fits in the middle of it, but the bulk of people that are relocating right now, whether it's from the Portland, Oregon area, Seattle area, Southern California, the Bay Area, maybe Texas or Arizona, ultimately speaking, 4 out of those 6 I just mentioned have higher median home prices than Bend does. And so that's going to kind of trickle down towards the rest of your cost of living as well. Bend is a town in Oregon with a relatively high median price point for a home, but when you look at it from a regional standpoint and where a lot of people are moving from, it's going to be very cost effective. The cost of living is something to be concerned about, but ultimately speaking, everywhere you go is going to see an uptick in the cost of living. Bend is no exception to that rule, but again, it's all about perspective. Where are you coming from, and how does that apply to your cost of living? Bend is fairly affordable when it comes to where a lot of people are relocating from.
So yeah, we're on the river trail here. We're getting ready to cross the road.
Archie Briggs
Road here. But yeah, so the median home price in Bend last month was $700,000, which is slightly down. Redmond is in the low 500s, and Sun River, I want to say Sun River somewhere around 900 to $1 million. There's not as big a sample size, so that one fluctuates quite a bit. Prineville and Madras are definitely, I think they're in like the
400s,
the low 400s, high 300s. So Bend is usually one of the highest priced communities in Central Oregon outside of Sun River and Sisters. And it all depends on what quadrant of town you're in and all of those things. But cost of living is expensive. There's not a lot of work here, high paying jobs. A lot of people that live here work remotely or have moved here, have a second home here. So there's not a huge workforce here. That is the difficult part of living in Bend, is the sustainability. COVID, for all of its nastiness, one great thing that it provided for us was a lot of people the ability to work from home. So a lot of people that have moved here work from home. They need an additional bedroom or office in their house so that they can do just that. They can work from home. So Ryan's right, it's kind of right in the middle, but from where a lot of people are relocating from, we're actually quite a bit less as far as our cost of living here.
And that's just based off of interacting with certain clients. We've had a few over the course of the last few months that when they learn about the price points of homes similar to the ones that they're coming from, in their respective towns that they're moving away from, they're surprised, and they're pleasantly surprised at what the affordability is. Again, it's all about perspective. Other people are going to complain that it's moving too fast in the wrong direction and people are getting priced out of homes, and that's certainly a concern. When it comes to considering moving to Bend, these are basically the 6 items that came to mind today that we wanted to touch on to provide and share some perspective on.
So we hope you guys enjoyed the video. Call us, text us, email us, schedule a Zoom meeting. We'd love to meet you in person. If you're thinking about moving here and you have some questions, you can either throw them in the comments, but we'd love to talk to you personally. Reach out to us. Let us know what other videos you'd like to see, what you'd like us to talk about, and we'll make sure to get those filmed for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you have a wonderful day.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.